So hi everyone, I'm going to present you a TED Talk about origami. So I'm going to present you this speech about origami in different parts. I'm going to answer to different questions, which are why, what, when, where, how, and where. So let's talk a bit about why am I doing this speech and why origami. So origami, I start when I was 7 years old by making plane. Yes, plane is an origami. But I just start to make a crane or flamingo. A crane is just this origami you do not know. But I do not very have this passion yet. So the years pass during college and the beginning of the superior, and I went to terminal. And during this year, I discovered 3D origami, and you can see one of them on the clock. The last one I made, a cat. So I start in November by making this Christmas powder. So I have to tell you something. I miss it because it was my first one, and I don't put enough to make it smaller and bigger. So that's why it was this tall when we compare to the one I offered to Manu. So that's why I'm going to present you. But what is origami? I'm talking like this origami, but how can I explain it to you? And where does it come from? So origami is the art of folding the paper. However, there's a lot of debate on where it comes from. But generally, we're going to say that it's coming from Japan, because in the we found some painting from the 6th century where you can see two women holding papers for a tea ceremony, for a ritual. Yes. At the beginning of the origami, it was an offer, and it was for the fortune and harmony, during ritual or for religious reason. Then, lots of time passed, and during this time, the Japan shares this art to other country. So origami went over continents, to China, to Europe. However, Europe did not really know the coins that everybody knows nowadays. You know about it, like the cocotte en papier that is the demonstration about that I'm going to show you with the link of mathematics later. So it's very fascinating when you're looking at it, because it's an art that came from the 6th century. That's pretty old. However, it's democratized very lately during the 20th century. So that's why Akira Yoshizawa developed it and developed a new describing model to create some. And the first book I got was made by this notation to learn how to fold paper. After I can show you if you want. I have this little book in my. So if you have this sign, well, circle with just like this, you're going to turn your paper, and there's a lot of them to transmit this knowledge and to democratize this art to everybody. And he also creates new complex folding techniques, but that's existing every art. Later, in the 1950s, Lillian Oppenheimer wrote a book called Origami, Arts and Math. And that's how the beginning of the real democratization of the origami began. And it's also one of the first information that the population had about the link into mathematics and origami. And nowadays, origami is still developing by Robert G. or Satoshi Kamiya, who are two professionals about origami that are creating new complex technology, but they're also showing the true potential of this art. Because I know I'm in a class of future mathematicians or engineer or medicine, I would like to compare it with math. And so the limits, if we are taking origami as a function, we say that limit of the origami function x will be plus infinite. So, however, I'm talking about origami, but origami, is it useful in our life? But just before I continue to the next part, I'm going to show you some origami that's Yaki Yoshizawa or many professional made. So that's a pianist, and the most difficult one that has been made until now is this one, because they're using a single sheet of paper to make two people fighting, and so you can see the link into this tutorial here by the and it's also, there's also a dragon because it's really difficult to make it, not just this form, but also all the details that you can find it. And that's why the images are not very cool. And that's the image bigger about it if you want. So there's sword, there's little on their face, armor, their feet, everything. So I'm gonna return now. Is it useful in our life? Yes. Even the NASA are using origami to develop new techniques or new solar panels, as you can see on the right. So they're using, or they called mathematicians about origami to help them to develop solar panels that are gonna take less room in their satellites, but that be more efficient and gonna take more space, more solar in the space. But it's not only used in space, it's used everywhere on Earth, because it's also used for surgery, medicine. Well, for the moment, there's the development about the robots using origami, paper, but not only that will maybe enter the body to make a surgery, but still developing in this for some area to search. But it's not only useful there, it's also we can find them on fashion accessories, like on this little girl, on the mug, or fashion, on the cell phone case, as you can see on the right. They're everywhere. They're also used in architecture, like we can see on the Surfington Gallery Pavilion in London, made by Jack Ingels. So, but here it's more using 3D origami because it's lots of squares that are assembled, but they're making a combination of many model units that's always the same to make a single form. That's now what's the link with mathematics? Yes, there is a link, but it's very complicated to describe it because it's at the same time very difficult and very easy in both ways, because you can use mathematics on concepts like geometry that's going to be easier, like, as we can see here by the baby Bajewata. That's like the baby cocotte of papier if you want to, but it's a pattern that you can see here of the parts that you need to have to make this origami. And in this pattern, there's also different color to describe the mountain fold and the valley fold, because when you're gonna fold the paper, you're gonna create, you are doing a V on the upper side, you're gonna have a valley fold, and on the other side, it will be a mountain fold. So if you create one, you create a mountain fold, you automatically create another one on the other side. But there's also, not only in geometry, but also in graph theory and many others. But there's using tables, but it's not the only place. But for example, if you want to make an animals, as you can see a glitter, you have to take a look at the first thing you need to do is to take a look at how many numbers there is. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there is 10 numbers. So if you want to create it in origami, you need at least 10 circle or part of a circle in this way to have enough numbers to create this one. So if you want to create it, you will put a circle, 2 circles on each side and 2 on the middle. And at this moment, you will have the potential to create it, but it's not the easiest part. It's more the hardest one. Yes, so there's mathematics. There's also axioms that has been made by Akira Yoshizawa that I talked about before, but there's very easy, so I'm not going to talk because it will be a bit useless. Then, there's origami 3D or 3-dimensional origami models. That's a pretty fascinating things that I discovered this year, because with one unit, one model that you can, and you have some on your table, there's this thing, by multiplicating this little thing by how many you want, how much you want, you'll have the potential or maybe the capability to create a little cat like this one, another Christmas tree as before. However, it's taking lots of time to create one. I would say if you are making a lot of them at the same moment, it will be at least 20 or 30 second one. So if you need to make 600, a bit more of them, you'll take, I don't know, 8 hours at least. And that's a lot. So that's a picture of me at the beginning of this for the Christmas. And you can see that there's a huge amount of little units to make this little puzzle Christmas. So now I'm going to learn you how to make a little unit. But just before, I'm going to talk to you the advantage of the origami in 3 dimensions. So there's a lot of advantage about it because there's a lot of variety of them, of animals, as you can see with this little cat, or you can make whatever you want. You just have to let your creativity help you by making those. I also made others like a dragon without a model this time, and I made it. So it's pretty easy to make one, and there's some words about origami, however. You need, for the 2-dimensional origami, the one you're using just a single sheet of paper. You cannot use glue, scissors. If you're using that on these tools, everybody who's using origami professional, even me, will curse you. However, you can use them for 3D origami. It's more free than original one. And however, you need lots of passion to make those. But not only, you need perseverance because you can miss again. But if you miss, you will learn something and you not make this mistake again, and you're going to make it a day. Because it's easy, but not that easy. It's a bit tricky. And so it also lets us to have a lot of potential about the things that you can make and the complexity of them. Because with a single piece of paper, you can at most make 2 wires fighting, but with just this, you can make whatever you want because there's more potential. So if you make 2 times infinite, I cannot tell what's going to make. So now I'm going to ask you to take the little paper I put on the table before, and I'm gonna learn you how to make a little unit. So take it on the landscape portrait. So you're gonna fold it, or you're gonna put your finger on the place I put, so on the middle of the right and left side, and you're gonna fold it like this. And you're gonna join the corner you have, or more correct, if I do not fold it correctly, you're gonna join those two lines. So just before to continue, there's different rules about it that I made for you. So some advice, more precise. So you need to fold precisely because later it can lead to an error or mistake. So before to start, you may need to look at the old pictures. So you need to take a look at what you want to do. If you want to make an origami 3D like the Father Grimace, you need to watch a video more than once to know what you will have to do later. So after you make folds fairly, do not make it hyphen. So this is not good like this. Choose the white paper, yes, because if the paper is too hard, it's gonna be harder later. If the unit or the origami is too difficult, so it's better to have ones like you're using for the pointer. I don't know. And so you need to make some models that's according to your level. So that's why I'm making this unit, because it's not a very difficult one, but it has lots of potential. And finally, you need to persevere about the things you're gonna do. So let's continue about our origami. So you have this, right? Then now, put the side where you made the fold up and fold it on the middle of this by joining the two corners, those two corners. So now you're gonna return to the state you were before and put the valid fold on the upper side. Like this, like a V. So with the folded side in front of you and I need to see this side, and you have the side where it's not folded on your side, like this. So after you're gonna take this paper, this line, but only one side, and you're gonna join this line to the one which is on the middle. So you're gonna divide it, the angle by 2. You have to make the same thing on the other side. You should have obtained this. So you're gonna put on your side the side where you obtain the line. There. So you have a triangle and two rectangles. So now you're gonna take one side, just as before, and join the little line there, the one and the big one. And all the folds are on the same side. Now, after you do the same thing on the other side, and you normally obtain a diamond. Fold it on this line by putting those two parts on the down. And normally, the two lines, those lines are joining together. And you have to do the same thing on the other side. So now you have a triangle. So look at your little units that are on your table. There's still one fold. So you're gonna, as before, we made a line on it. So you're gonna fold all this line. And here you are. to obtain the first unit. If you have two units, and take a look at one. There's two holes on one. So there's different possibility. You can put one on the other one because there's two triangle, I would like to say. And it's under Almighty perfectly. You can also put just one inside. So when you have your model, you're gonna put the one of the triangle in one inside, but in the other one outside. And like this, you can put together more and more. And if you have approximately 10, you can make a circle by joining them by putting one of. So now I'm gonna make a little exam as a upper level. So the goal here is now to make a circle by the units that I gave you before. So by joining them without glue or anything else, you just need to make a circle with them.